Welcome everyone. I'm here today to talk to you about medical marijuana. Marijuana is a viable medicine that has been proven to treat many illnesses such as AIDS, glaucoma, depression, and cancer treatment-related symptoms. Many private as well as government-funded studies have been conducted to determine whether or not it should be used. The results of those studies are all similar, proving that marijuana does possess therapeutical properties. Now, this is a drawing of a marijuana leaf, or cannabis sativa. Marijuana is made up of several different chemicals, but the ones we're going to concern ourselves with are called cannabinoids. Cannabinoids, along with delta-9 tetrahydrocannabinol, or THC, are the main active ingredients in marijuana. Now, since we're only allotted a certain period of time, I would like to elaborate on only a few points. We're going to focus on legality, proven effective treatments, and the mortality rates of marijuana versus FDA-approved drugs. First, let's take a look at the legal history of marijuana. Marijuana has not always been illegal in the United States. In fact, it was used in the U.S. pharmacopoeia from 1850 to 1941 as a medicine. The Marijuana Tax Act of 1937 was passed, requiring tax be paid by growers, distributors, and users. Now, this did not make marijuana legal, but it was the first step in doing so. Before this act was passed, there were 27 different medicines made by still existing pharmaceutical companies which were legally available to patients. The Controlled Substance Act of 1970 made marijuana officially illegal. It placed marijuana in the same category as heroin, LSD, cocaine, and other hard drugs. This act gave marijuana the classification of being a Schedule I drug. Schedule I drugs are said to contain no therapeutical properties and have a high potential for abuse. Next, let's talk about the proven effective treatments of marijuana. Marijuana has been used for centuries to cure illnesses. Physicians have been using marijuana to treat sickness for more than 2,000 years. There are written records from China, India, Africa, and the Middle East that describe the use of marijuana to treat the sick. In modern medicine, marijuana is currently used to assist terminally ill patients. Patients going through chemotherapy often suffer from nausea and vomiting due to the harsh side effects of the drugs. Marijuana can successfully eliminate these symptoms. Patients who suffer from HIV/AIDS wasting syndrome often can't eat anything, which only enables them to die faster. Marijuana has proven to increase their appetite, allowing patients a longer life to battle the disease. Now, this is a drawing of intraocular pressure in the eye, which can be reduced by up to 25% with the use of marijuana, either orally or smoked. Last, I would like to point out the mortality rates of marijuana versus FDA-approved drugs. Another thing that's interesting to consider is that marijuana has been the primary suspect of death in 0 patients. Now, under the Freedom of Information Act, people have a right to access the records of adverse events. So this is a chart of 17 FDA-approved drugs, mortality rates versus that of marijuana. Now, we don't have time to go over all 17, so I'm going to focus on 3 in particular, which are Wellbutrin, an antidepressant, Viagra, we all know what that's used for, and Vioxx, used to treat osteoarthritis. Now, when you look at this, marijuana was the primary suspect of death in 0 patients, Wellbutrin, 1,132 patients, Viagra, 2,254 patients, and Vioxx, 4,540 patients. In conclusion, I would like to say that marijuana is a viable medicine which is known to be safer than many common prescription drugs and should be available to those who really need it. There have been multiple studies conducted, and all the results positively show that marijuana can be effectively used to treat many things. I would like to thank you today for listening to me and hope that you will take this information to heart. We have discussed legality, proven effective treatments, and mortality rates of marijuana versus FDA-approved drugs. I truly believe that sometimes the simplest cure can be found naturally and safely. God put this medicine on our earth to benefit us. Let us not ignore it, but embrace us and continue to move forward. Are there any questions?
Do you believe it is wrong using a substance made illegal by our own government to treat patients?
Absolutely not. Marijuana has been legal longer than it has been illegal.
Are there any possible damaging side effects when using marijuana?
Marijuana is a relatively safe drug. The oral use of marijuana is the safest. Concentrated forms of THC are already being used. Marinol is an FDA-approved drug containing this concentration and is already being used worldwide. Smoked marijuana, however, does pose a possible threat of lung cancer, which is why the FDA does not approve of smoked marijuana as an acceptable delivery route.
Do you believe that marijuana should be used by minors to treat medical conditions?
As with any prescription, a physician would not prescribe it to the patients unless the benefits outweigh the risks. So I believe in that case it would be up to the physician to decide whether or not minors should use it. Thank you.